Tag TV brings you daily news bulletin from India. Breaking news and views from India.
You're watching South Asia Newsline, and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Friday, the 7th of March. PM Modi unveils key welfare initiatives, focuses on women and rural development in Gujarat. Pakistan's baseless rhetoric after Jaishankar calls for return of POK. And Bangladesh election this year may be difficult due to unrest, says head of youth-led party. And now for all the details. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a two-day visit to Dadra and Nagar Haveli, Daman and Diu and Gujarat, inaugurating key infrastructure projects and launching welfare initiatives. His visit includes the inauguration of Namo Hospital in Silvassa, the launch of the Surat Food Security Saturation Campaign. A report.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi embarked on a two-day visit to Dadra and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu, as well as Gujarat, on Friday, where he inaugurated several infrastructure and development projects, launched healthcare, food security, and women empowerment initiatives, and distributed benefits under government schemes aimed at enhancing rural livelihoods and economic growth. Arriving in Silvassa, PM Modi inaugurated Phase 1 of Namo Hospital, a 450-bed state-of-the-art medical facility built at a cost of 460 crore rupees, which aims to significantly improve healthcare services in the Union Territory. He also laid the foundation stone and inaugurated multiple development projects worth over 2,580 crore rupees. These initiatives focus on enhancing connectivity, social infrastructure, and quality of life in the region. Later in the day, the Prime Minister also launched the Surat Food Security Saturation Campaign in Surat City. The initiative aims to ensure universal access to food security by delivering benefits under the National Food Security Act to approximately 2.3 lakh beneficiaries. Highlighting the government's commitment to ensuring that no citizen goes hungry, PM Modi underscored the role of welfare schemes in addressing poverty and providing nutritional security to vulnerable sections. On Saturday, the Prime Minister is scheduled to visit Navsari district, where he will participate in the Lakhpati Didi program. As part of the event, 5 outstanding Lakhpati Didis will be felicitated with special certificates, recognizing their achievements in economic self-reliance and entrepreneurship.
In a major victory for India, the US Supreme Court has rejected the 26/11 Mumbai attack accused Tahavvur Rana's plea to block his extradition. In his last-ditch attempt to avoid trial in India, Rana claimed that he would face torture and cited alleged discrimination against religious minorities. He also pointed to his deteriorating health, listing medical conditions such as Parkinson's disease. However, Justice Elena Kagan dismissed his emergency request on Thursday, removing the final legal hurdles preventing his transfer to Indian authorities. Rana's counsel has now renewed an emergency application to be placed before the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Rana, a Pakistani-origin businessman and a close associate of terrorist David Coleman Headley, played a key role in facilitating the 2008 Mumbai terror attacks, which killed 166 people. His extradition has been a long-pending demand by India to ensure justice for the victims of one of the deadliest terror strikes on Indian soil. Notably, US President Donald Trump had announced Rana's extradition to India earlier in February during a joint press conference with Prime Minister Narendra Modi following their bilateral meeting. Pakistan on Thursday raised objection after India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar asserted that the final step in resolving the Kashmir issue was return of Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Jaishankar, speaking at a session in London, outlined India's approach to Kashmir, emphasizing 3 key steps already taken: the abrogation of Article 370, the restoration of economic and social progress, and the successful conduct of elections with high voter turnout. He reaffirmed India's stance that POJK remains illegally occupied and must be returned to complete the process of resolving the issue. Rattled by his remarks, Pakistan's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Shafqat Ali Khan attempted to counter Jaishankar's statement, resorting to outdated rhetoric about Jammu and Kashmir being a disputed territory. He added, instead of Pakistan, India needs to vacate territories in Jammu and Kashmir. Relations between India and Pakistan have remained tense, particularly since India's abrogation of Article 370 in 2019, which fully integrated Jammu and Kashmir into the Indian Union. Despite Pakistan's objections, India maintains that Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of the country and has moved forward with economic development and democratic processes in the region. Pakistanis have expressed disappointment over a potential US travel ban, fearing it could derail educational and resettlement opportunities. Critics argue that ban could harm US-Pakistan relations, especially for those seeking refuge or academic advancement. A report.
Pakistanis and an Afghan national living in Islamabad on Thursday called a new potential US travel ban unfortunate, saying it could affect young Pakistanis who invested money to study in US universities, and considering that the people and government of Pakistan consider the US an ally and supporter. A report by Reuters citing sources said a travel ban by President Donald Trump could bar people from Afghanistan and Pakistan from entering the US as soon as next week based on a government review of countries' security and vetting risks.
जितने भी यूथ है पाकिस्तान की जो कि टॉप यूएस की यूनिवर्सिटीज़ में जाना चाहती है, वहाँ पे पढ़ाई करना चाहती है, वो उस पढ़ाई से महरूम हो जाएगी। वो अपना जो बहुत सारे जो मेरे भी जानने वाले हैं जो अपना बहुत ज़्यादा कीमती सरमाया लगा चुके हैं वीज़ा इमिग्रेशन प्रोसेस में, स्टडी के लिए जाने के प्रोसेस में, वो उनका कीमती वक्त भी ज़ाया होगा, उनका वो सरमाया भी सब ज़ाया हो चुका होगा, जो कि बहुत बड़ा सेटबैक है।
The new ban could affect tens of thousands of Afghans who have been cleared for resettlement in the U.S. as refugees or on special immigrant visas because they are at risk of Taliban retribution for working for the U.S. during a 20-year war in their home country.
उन लोगों ने वादा किया था कि हम at the end ये हैप्पी एंडिंग होगी, इस तरह एंडिंग नहीं होगी जो अभी बन रही है। तो होना ये चाहिए, अगर बैन लगानी भी है उन लोगों के ऊपर ना लगाए जो वल्नरेबल है, जो मदद के मुस्तहक है, जिनको यूएस का साथ चाहिए। अगर ये उन लोगों की भी यहाँ बैन करेगा तो ये जो पार्टनरशिप है, जो एलाइज वाला सिस्टम है ना, वो इनसे मुतासर हो जाएगी।
Trump issued an executive order on January 20th requiring intensified security vetting of any foreigners seeking admission to the U.S. to detect national security threats. That order has directed several cabinet members to submit by March 12th a list of countries from which travel should be partly or fully suspended because their vetting and screening information is so deficient.
पाकिस्तानी रियासत को चाहिए कि वो पाकिस्तान के अंदर ऐसे मौके पैदा करे कि हमें अमेरिका की तरफ देखने की ज़रूरत भी ना पड़े, कुछ ऐसे ऑप्शन भी पैदा करे कि हम दुनिया में दीगर मुल्कों की जानिब भी देख सकें, क्योंकि हमारा पूरा निर्भर या पूरा एनएसआर अमेरिका की तरफ है। तो इसलिए वो भी ये समझता है कि हम पाबंदी लगाएंगे तो हमें किसी भी किस्म का कोई भी रेजिस्टेंस देखने को नहीं मिलेगा, मज़ाहमत देखने को नहीं मिलेगी।
Bangladesh's newly formed National Citizens Party has expressed doubts over the country's readiness to hold general elections, citing security and law enforcement concerns. NCP chief Naheed Islam told Reuters that despite some progress, public safety remains a key challenge. It has happened to an extent, but not up to our expectations, Islam, who led the movement against Hasina, said, adding that holding elections in the current situation would be difficult. With political power in transition, the interim government led by Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus has suggested elections could take place by the end of 2025. However, various political factions, including the Awami League and the BNP, are pushing for earlier elections to restore an elected government. The former advisor maintains that the NCP will be ready to participate in the elections whenever they are held. But he also emphasized the importance of finalizing the proclamation of the July Revolution, a proposed charter to address the aspirations of the people. His statement that the Awami League should not be allowed to return to power has, however, sparked debate about whether all parties should be given a fair chance in the democratic process.
তারা বলতেছে প্রথম রিপাবলিককে প্রয়োজনীয়তা শেষ হয়ে গিয়েছে কিনা, কেন আমাদের দ্বিতীয় রিপাবলিকের কথা বলা লাগতেছে। তা আমরা বলতেছি যে আমাদের যে বিদ্যমান সংবিধান, যে বিদ্যমান রিপাবলিক, তার অধীনেই কিন্তু একটা ফ্যাসিজম তৈরি হয়েছে। গত 54 বছর তার অধীনেই বারবার গণতন্ত্র মুখ থুবড়ে পড়েছে এবং সর্বশেষ এরকম একটি গণহত্যার মতো ঘটনা সংঘটিত হয়েছে। আমাদের এই সংবিধান কিন্তু আমাদের মানবাধিকার রক্ষা করতে পারে নাই, গুম হয়েছে মানুষ, আমাদের ভোটাধিকার রক্ষা করতে পারে নাই। ফলে সংবিধানের প্রতি জনগণের সেই আস্থা নেই। ফলে আমাদের নতুন করে যদি আমরা সেই আস্থা তৈরি করতে চাই, আমাদের সেই সাংবিধানিক ভিত্তি পরিবর্তন আসলে প্রয়োজন।
Hizb ut-Tahrir, a radical Islamist organization banned in Bangladesh since 2009, staged its first open rally in Dhaka on Friday, leading to violent clashes with police near the Baitul Mukarram National Mosque. Thousands of members participated in the rally titled March for Khilafah, which began after Friday prayers at the north gate of the mosque. Law enforcement intervened to stop the procession, prompting a confrontation. To disperse the demonstrators, police fired tear gas shells and sound grenades, causing a temporary retreat. However, the group later regrouped and attempted to continue the rally. The banned organization advocates for the establishment of a global Islamic caliphate, uniting all Muslim-majority nations under a single Islamic government. Despite being officially outlawed, the group's public activities have reportedly increased in recent months. Political analysts have raised concerns, highlighting that Islamist groups have gained more freedom in Bangladesh since the departure of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. They argue that the government's failure to enforce restrictions on banned organizations has emboldened these groups, allowing them to expand their influence. The increasing public presence of such outfits, they warn, could have significant implications for Bangladesh's security and political stability. Sri Lanka and Japan signed agreements on Friday to restructure $2.5 billion worth of debt, completing 2 years of talks that will assist the island nation in getting back on its feet after a severe financial crisis. The agreements will allow the two countries to restart projects, including an expansion of Sri Lanka's main airport, which was suspended after the island nation announced in 2022 that it was defaulting on its foreign debt. But it is making a gradual recovery, aided by a $2.9 billion bailout from the IMF. Sri Lanka entered into a preliminary deal with key lenders to restructure bilateral debt last June. It still needs to sign similar agreements with China for about $4.7 billion in debt and with India for $1.4 billion in debt to continue the IMF program. China and Sri Lanka agreed on more investment and economic cooperation when Chinese President Xi Jinping met recently elected Sri Lankan President Anurakumara Dissanayake in January. Colombo has also secured a deal to restructure $12.5 billion of its debt with international bondholders in December. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time next week. Have a great weekend. Good night.
Tag TV brings you daily news bulletin from India. Breaking news and views from India.